Welcome to the DFS pregame show here on RotoGrinders. I'm Jordan Cooper, aka blenderhd, Blender HD. You know me. And this is the show where we go over a little bit about yesterday's slate, 2-game slate. Not much happened. And then we start talking about today's slate, which is 11 games. And I know it's the All-Star break just happened, but maybe people could be resting, people could be out. Who knows what's going to happen in 11 games? We already have news that we're playing the Sixers, I guess, as of now, because Simmons and Embiid are both going to be out. But we'll talk a little bit about that, answer your strategy questions. That's what we do in the morning, right? That's what I do here. Got a teaching time for DFS. We got baseball coming up in about 2 or 3 weeks, so that'll be pretty good. But if you're in the YouTube chat, you know what to do. I got my apple juice here. I got tons of apple juice, Minute Maid apple juice, not the apple mango crap, the real stuff. So to keep it cold, you got to hit the thumbs up button. Hit those thumbs. Hit the subscribe scribes. Hit the notification belly bells. I guess so. I guess we could call it that. And put your questions into chat. Sometimes people in chat answer your questions for. I don't even need to do anything. Right? I see you guys in there. Max Coach, Card Fan, DJ Cicero, Chandler Cannon, Jupocalypse, Daniel Hutchings, Sam Deal, Johnny Ortiz. How was your slate yesterday? I didn't play much volume. You couldn't get that much action. I just played cash yesterday. Because that's what I do on my spreadsheet. So I got to keep on going. But you couldn't really find much cash action. They like lowered the sizes of the contest. They didn't post as many. So like I wasn't able to. I only played on FanDuel and Draftkings, but I got there. Yeah, so I made an extra about almost $1,400. Right, got there. Draftkings, FanDuel, but I mean I couldn't even get the FanDuel didn't even have that many multipliers, or the 50-50s weren't even filling. So it's it was hard for me to even barely get this much, and 200 of this was in the satellite, the GPP, because I won the satellite tickets. So I just put 40 entries of the same lineup in, and then and min cash. So I got money that way. But yeah, it seemed like yesterday, even on DraftKings, you didn't have the 124 double ups. It was all small stuff. So kind of hard to get volume. Unless you could get volume. Yeah, sure. You could play 215 head-to-heads against the sharpest players in the lobby if you want. Yeah, sure. I don't want to do that. So, I mean, you could get action, but not the best of action yesterday. So it was a good day. I'm almost up to 20. We're almost back up past the 20K mark, right? Last time we were past the 20K mark was the 19th. It looks like the 19th of February. So that stock market's coming back, right? We see here in the graph, right? We're almost towards an all-time high. Okay, see, it goes up and down. You get nervous when it goes all the way down. Oh my God, is that the bottom? And then it starts coming back up. So that's what we'll be doing today. And then with doubled over the course of what has it been? We started in December, late December, so that's late January, late February. So 2.5 months? Double your bankroll? That's pretty good. That's pretty good just in cash games. So let's keep it going. Let's get DraftKings into the positive. Let's get it out of the basement there. But yesterday, a 2-game slate. I mean, what are you supposed to do on a 2-game slate? So if you lost yesterday, don't say, oh my God, I'm horrible. It's it's such high variance. I mean, if we take a look at the winning lineup, I mean, no one under double-digit owned. So it's these weren't some guy came out of nowhere, blowout run type of guy and got there. But I mean, they were all, you pretty much needed Jonas Valanciunas for sure, obviously. You probably needed Luka, and you needed DeRozan. That's probably it. And then you just jam in as many points as you can. And Bane got there, 7x for 4,000. We got Denny got there. I mean, he got not 8.5x or something like that. Porzingis had a decent game, right? So it's basically 1, 2, 3, 4 Memphis players, but with Denny. Beal and Westbrook was not necessary. You didn't need them. They were pretty much duds. And Porzingis. So I mean, the biggest duds yesterday were Dillon Brooks. So yeah, 4 Memphis guys are in the winning lineup in the return from break. $10 GPP on DraftKings. 4 Memphis guys, but not Dylan Brooks, because Dylan Brooks just likes fouling people. And right, he had like 4 fouls, whatever, early in the second half, so he dudded. And obviously Bradley Beal and Westbrook weren't like necessary. I mean, he could have played. I mean, could you have made a winning lineup with that? I mean, you could have cashed, obviously. Keldon Johnson was a dud because we got the word that Aldridge isn't going to play for the Spurs anymore. So LaMarcus Aldridge is going somewhere. Who knows where he's going to go? Where's Andre Drummond and Blake? Well, Blake Griffin's now in the Nets, and LaMarcus Aldridge. You get the old guy, scrubby, whatever, washed up team. But for the most part, I mean, Jonas, DeRozan, who's 24% owned. So, I mean, like, most of these guys were owned. There was no one that was, like, such low owned. Rudy Gay, right? There's someone. 33 points, 5%. He was the only one. I mean, like, he should have appeared in the winning lineup. He just was too low owned for that combination, I guess. Like Trey Lyles, he barely even played. Right, but many of these sharper players didn't even have him. Well, look, 17%. So who? Odds Pat. So Pat had him. But I mean, but on a 2-game slate, you're going to see. I mean, no one's like fading someone completely or something, right? Other than Lyles, I guess, for some people. Like Dorian Finney-Smith, he was overowned, overexposed. Sharp players lineups. Tyus Jones, I get that. I mean, he only got 9 points, but I get it. But pretty much the builds were Luka, at least one of the Washington guards, John Morant, Dylan Brooks, Joe Valen center, maybe Winslow as a cheaper player, punt kind of play, and then try to build around that. I mean, that was the chalk lineup. It's the cash lineup. That's the chalk lineup. How did he get away from that? Most of the chalk did well, other than Brooks and Keldon Johnson. So if you got away from them, you're fine. But it's a 2-game slate, so I mean, you take whatever risk you wanted to. I don't even know why I'm reviewing a 2-game slate. I'm just telling you what happened. Just kind of weird that Dylan Brooks is the chalk, and the winning lineup has 4 Memphis players that don't have Dylan Brooks in it. Well, because Dylan Brooks did badly. That's why. Looking through the YouTube chat, DJ A Dog 3K asks, do you play less in sports like NHL or MLB, where the volatility is really high, or do you try to take advantage of that? Of course, you're trying to take advantage of that. That's the whole point. If you're a GPP player, you should love volatility. You want volatility. Most people underestimate the variance on a day's games in any sport. Now, I don't play NHL, so I can't speak specifically to that. But that's why MLB to me is my favorite GPP sport. Much more than basketball. Because it's so volatile. So people, what ends up happening is that people coalesce on certain players, certain pitchers, certain ballparks, and they become overowned. Oh, I can't believe, Coors, it's only a 3-1 game. Yeah, well, that happens. That's variance. There you go. Or I couldn't believe that the Marlins scored 14 runs today. Well, it happens. Oh, I played Shane Bieber and he got blown up and he only pitched an inning in the third and he gave up 8 runs. Well, it happens. So when you have the field that is just like, a guy's going to be 60% owned, a pitcher's going to be 60% owned on a 14-game slate like that, the volatility in baseball, take advantage of it more. Basketball, you're more likely because it's an iterative scoring. It's not event-based. So it's more likely the chalkier, the real good chalk value is going to hit way more often. Like today on FanDuel. Like they just forgot to price up the Sixers. DK is okay. DK, you don't necessarily have to play the Sixers. But on FanDuel, I mean, they went to sleep, I guess. Because we have Embiid and Simmons out, and FanDuel has like Milton at 4,200, I think. Howard at 3,800. Toby Harris is like 6,900 or something. I mean, like, it's just stupid. So they're more likely to make value. I mean, just in basketball. But if it was baseball, Mike Trout they accidentally min-priced him, right? Oh, he's only 3,500 on DraftKings or 2,000 on FanDuel. Like, it's still get a zero. Sure, he's going to be super owned because he's the best hitter in baseball, but he could easily just go 0-4, right? I mean, 1 for 5 with the single, and that's it, and a run maybe. Basketball, they're going to play 48 minutes on the court, and they're not going to just stand still. So points are going to be accumulated no matter what. Baseball, you're not guaranteed that. They're going to get up 4 or 5 times, and if nothing happens, they get a zero. I mean, they're not going to get any more opportunities. So that's why in sports like baseball, I much more take advantage of volatility. It makes it almost less of a cash type of sport. I'm not a big fan of MLB Cash games. If you're going to play MLB Cash games, you have to view the season as one thing, not day to day. I'm going to feel like playing cash today and then not tomorrow and then maybe and then it's a type of thing where the variance is so high. A home run, not home run could mean the difference of you cashing and not cashing, right? Your SB2 gets blown up for -4 and you're done. On a span of one, and just you're done. That's it. You're done. You ain't cashing, right? Well, but if you're playing 200 slates, like you could survive all of that. You could survive the variance. There's less variance in basketball. So while I do consider playing DFS to be a long-term thing, don't think in terms of what happened on this one slate or this past week. Think over terms of months and years. But that's especially true for baseball. Don't get wrapped up into, my lineup only scored 54 points today. Yeah, shit happens. I mean, right? You take Freddie Freeman and he has a zero, right? And you take Aaron Judge is underpriced, and he didn't do anything. He strikes out 3 times. And the pitcher the ace pitcher only puts up 12 points, right? He walks 4 guys. He gives up 3 runs. He still has a couple of strikeouts, but he doesn't put up 20 plus. And you're sitting there going, what am I doing wrong? You didn't do nothing wrong. That's the variance of baseball. It's going to be higher variance than basketball. Probably higher variance than football on a day-to-day basis. But over the course of 200 slates, you should be able to come out ahead in cash games. But GPPs are so much better for that sport. Correlation is very high, so you're most likely, it's easier to make lineup. The constructions are going to be easier. You're going to be stacking. And then you just go where other people aren't going. There's no way I play the Pirates on a 13-game slate. Why not? Why not? Why can't you? They're going to be 2% owned. You never know when Ryan Reynolds is going to hit for the cycle. Who knows? It could be today. But the Pirate stacks is going to be 2% owned, but they have a 3.5% chance of being the top stack. And go take a shot. It may not happen that day, right? But you do it over the course of the season. Jacob Calloway asks, cash game question for high variance sports, like I was talking about MLB. Are you more likely to give up projection to decrease standard deviation to lower the variance of your lineups relative to projection based on a sport like NBA? Maybe, possibly. It's kind of hard in MLB because a guy could bail you out. Like, I'm not a big fan of having, this is why you have to think in terms of your whole lineup. So, like, in baseball, like a solo home run is worth on DraftKings 14 points. And you have guys that are like home run or bust type of guys. Think of like a guy like Joey Gallo. He's unlikely to give you like 7 points. He's going to give you like 0 to 3 or something, 2, a walk, something, or like 20. Like one of those 2. Now, do you want like all 8 of your batters to be that? No. In cash games. I'm talking about cash games. You're aiming for medians. You're aiming for the 55th percentile. But do you also want to have 8 guys that like have no power and just like, oh, maybe they have a good shot at getting 5 or 6 points each? Well, that may not be good either, because you need to have some outs. Because what ends up happening is that if you roster kind of a boom or bust type of guy with a high median but a big standard deviation, that if he gets a 14, if he gets a 20, he bails out another hitter in your lineup that gets a 0. So the combined two of them is actually more. So that's why a lot of people talk about the floor ceiling combination. We talk about this in NFL football as well. Sure, you could roster the $3,700 guy that is going to go like 5 for 30, get the little screen pass from in the middle, little cross route, the slot guy, like a Randall Cobb type of guy. Oh, he'll go 4 for 40. Give me 8 points. Nice. Give me 8 points. But he's rarely going to give you like 20 plus. Like, you're not going to have that out in your lineup. So if you fill up your lineup with guys that really have a low propensity for ceilings, like, you need all of them to have good enough games. And if one of them does not have a good enough game, you may not cash. But if you think of the floor ceiling combination where you're also taking players, then the combination, maybe slightly more risky, have a higher standard deviation, you're able to bail out. If you have a pitcher that underperforms, well, you got bailed out because you played Bellinger at first base. And he had 2 home runs, so he bakes up for all of that. Because in cash games, you're probably not stacking. You're not going into cash games stacking. You're just trying to get the best value. But you have to weigh whether or not, if the lower median lineups are, do you have any outs in those lineups? Because sometimes you'll need a bailout. Sometimes, you pay down a catcher, you play Jacob Stallings or something, and he hits a solo home run. And he bails out, and you have Mookie Betts who goes, 1 for 5 with this hit, and that's it. You paid $6,000 for 3 points. Well, Stallings just he bailed out Betts. The combined, you got there for cash games. So you have to think in those terms as well. So I don't mind playing guys like, Rougned Odor, Hunter Renfroe. Those are the guys that like strike out way too often or hit a home run. Would I want 5 of them in my lineup? No. But I'm not going to specifically avoid them because they're like boom or bust. If their median's good, right? If their median's good. Because I think that's what you're looking for. That's what you're asking about. Oh, the median's high, but I'm going to sacrifice a little bit of median so I don't have to play Hunter Renfroe. And I'm saying that maybe it's better to play Hunter Renfroe. So at least then, he could get a 0, but he could also bail you out. And he could get a 0 and you could still cash and you could still be fine, even with the 0 out of a $3,600 outfield. I like the fact that we have an 11-game NBA slate. We're asking baseball questions. That's fine. I don't mind. I don't mind at all. Edward Brown says, I bet on Lyles and Semantic last night. Yeah, apparently that was a bad decision. Yeah. It's a 2-game slate. You have to take a shot. Let's see. Druid27 asks, how much do you target incorrect pricing of players in your lineups? For example, Melton and Beal on FanDuel last night were overpriced. Yeah, but it's also a 2-game slate. If this was a 10-game slate, you're probably not playing them. You're probably unlikely. They're not going to be projected well enough for their price to be in any lineups. But on a 2-game slate on FanDuel, where you have to play like 9 guys in specific positions, there's no reason not to if the lineup makes sense. You're playing Beal over Westbrook, and on the PG spot, you're playing Derek White, and he did horribly. Right, there's another one that bust. Or what happened to Derek White? I don't even see him on the list. Oh, here we go. 18% owned. Yeah, but Pat had a bunch of him. Yuta had a bunch of him. 8.5 points. He played a bunch of minutes, too. Pirtle also sucked. Yeah, most of the Spurs sucked. I think all the Spurs. I think DeRozan and Gay were the only two, right, that did anything. Does anyone know Druid 27? Does anyone know why Lyles was out of the rotation last night? It's Popovich. Come on, who knows? I mean, no one knows. I mean, at least I don't. I didn't play him, so it didn't matter. Lucas Yanetsko, are you going to run the bad optimal in cash like you do with NBA with your cash game tracker? Yes. That is what I will be doing this year. It's working. It's working well enough in basketball. I mean, for the RG projections. So why not? Less late swap. Less I'd have to do less work, even with baseball, right? You're rarely going to have projection changes after lock. But yeah, I'll do the same thing. That's why I created tabs. So I'll have the NBA tab and I'll have the MLB tab. And once MLB starts, I'm just letting people know. Once opening day MLB starts, I'm playing MLB GPPs and I'm not playing NBA GPPs anymore. Okay, just to let people know. I'll still play NBA cash games. But I'm just going to focus GPPs on MLB. That I prefer I prefer MLB for GPPs out of any sport. That's just me. So once MLB comes around, I want to put my GPP volume will be going towards that. We'll be going towards the vomit stacks. We'll be talking about vomit stacks all the time, right? Let's see what's going on DraftKings tonight. So we have our 1043. Oh, we got some the projections. 1043. Let's see. Lowry 8600. Okay, yeah, because they still have all their guys out, right? The Raptors have like no one. Bam has already been ruled out. Okay, so we got Kelly Olynyk. Obviously, we have the Sixers, but they're priced somewhat decently on DraftKings. We have Seth Curry at 5,200, Toby Harris at 8,100. So I take a look at like the optimal right now. Got Terrence Davis in it, Korkmaz, Stanley Johnson, Kawhi, and Luka. Okay, something like we got 281.41. Okay, that makes some sense. No Harris. So how many Philadelphia guys we got in here? Curry, Korkmaz, no Milton. No Milton. I guess not. Where's Milton? Yeah, Milton. I mean, he's still fine. 27 points for 5,300. He's fine. I mean, Milton's underpriced on FanDuel, right? If I bring this up on FanDuel, I mean, FanDuel is just a joke. So I'm going to go bring this up on FanDuel. Sort by RGV. I mean, look at this. This is just the Ricky Rubio's 4,700 against the Pelicans. I mean, this is going to be stupid. Terrence Ross is 5,700 with no Fournier. Larry's still only 8,500 with like no one in. What the hell is this lineup going to look like? We're going to have Howard down there. Yeah, that's like Rubio, Lowry, Curry, Ross, Hayward, Ingram, Harris, Giannis, and Howard. Yeah, this sort of looks like my dummy lineup. Yeah, okay. That's what I figured. Something like this. Yeah, but that gives you an opportunity on FanDuel to, like, if you pay up at center today, I mean, you're going to be different. Just naturally. Because let's take a look. Like, especially like Kelly O. Like, what's going to be the ownership between Kelly O and Dwight Howard? You're still paying down both spots, right? You only have one center spot. It's either 4,500 or 3,800. But let's say you pay up for Karl Anthony Towns. So I'm going to lock that in. And then what does your lineup kind of look like? Then you have Jayshawn Tate, power forward. But look how different. It's somewhat of a different lineup, right? You're playing George instead of Kawhi. Playing Butler. You could do something like this, but that's how you should be thinking. Like that center spot on FanDuel is going to be like it's going to be either Dwight or Kelly Olynyk today. You have to think as of this point. Remember, it's like 11:30 in the morning. Who knows? But the same thing on DraftKings. Probably on DraftKings, if you're paying up at center, that's gonna be a different construction. So let's take a look at center. Well, you could play Giannis in the center spot, but that let's say you play Cat there. I'm just choosing Cat over. You can obviously play Giannis in the center spot, but since Cat is only center eligible, it just makes it easier for me to look at the construction. Precious Achua. Okay, you could play him, right? He's cheap. Play Achua. Layman, yeah. Well, I don't know about this lineup. Layman, Precious. I mean, still stars and scrubs. And what happens if you play a balanced lineup? Right? Let's get rid of some. Let's get rid of some of these guys. Let's see what happens. Let's say we don't play anyone that's over 10K. Right? So get rid of all the 10K guys or above. Right? Bye. Vooch and Curry and Towns and all those guys. What does this lineup look like? Let's look at Kawhi. You get Toby Harris. But it still kind of looks like a cash lineup, though. Okay, you're not getting that much different. You're still playing Korkmaz, Terrence Davis. Oh, it still doesn't make me feel good. Let's say we get rid of those guys. Get rid of Korkmaz. Let's get Davis. What is he projected at? He actually isn't projected all that badly. But let's get rid of him anyway. Rubio at 6K. Do we really want to do that? He's fine at 4,700. No, he actually has a good smash. He actually has a good smash percentage. Okay. We'll keep him in. Let's see what that looks like. Stanley, Johnson, and Layman. Are we playing those guys? Layman. Let's take a look at Layman. 24% smash. I mean, I guess you could play him. Layman, Stanley Johnson. Yeah, Stanley Johnson, get out of here. Looks like power forward is the weak position today. That's what it seems like. I mean, Layman, Johnson. I'm getting Layman and Johnson. Right, so that's going to be the weaker position. Of course, you could play Kelly O in the power forward spot. I'm trying to see if I could get like balanced builds. Dwayne Bacon, you're going to have to play him then. And then Precious. Okay, this may not be working out all that well. Let me put everyone back in. But this is what I do. This is what I do. It tests through. You go through. What can you do? What do these lineups look like? If I don't play this guy, what does it look like? If I do play that guy, what does it look like? If I try to switch this, what does it look like? That's why I just noticing that like power forward is just like you got Giannis, you got okay. Well, I mean, it's I guess it's strong because you got Toby and Kelly, and you got Giannis. Obviously, if you pay up, but outside of that, it's value wise, it's probably not good. The power forward, you got small forward. Your small forward ain't all that hot either. I mean, unless you're paying up, like you're probably not playing Terrace Ross at 6,700 on DraftKings versus 5,700 on FanDuel. So I guess the forward positions in general aren't very good. Shooting guard. Or maybe no one's good. I'm looking through and going, I don't like any of this. Point guard. Okay, there's where all the strength is. But you're going to see low ownership. I mean, take a look at the point guard position. People are going to play Kyle Lowry and Luka. And maybe some Rubio, I guess, maybe. I mean, guys like Steph Curry are going to be like nothing owned at 10-2. De'Aaron Fox at 9,100. You want to try that? And Wall at 8,200. Yeah, these guys are going to be like none owned. Even like Lillard against the Suns, because that's not even a good matchup. He'll be under owned. There'll be a lot of guards that are going to be under owned. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander at 8,900 versus Dallas. I mean, truthfully, I mean some of these guys are kind of overpriced, but they can get there. They have ceilings. But this is what I do. I look. This is the initial look. You take a look-see at the slate, but this doesn't mean anything. Right? 3 hours from now, who knows? Some guy gets hit by a bus and he's not playing. Who knows? Someone has a headache. Someone doesn't feel good. Someone gets COVID. Who knows? Who knows what happens? It's NBA DFS. That's why I can't wait for baseball. We could just be like, okay, this guy's pitching tomorrow. This guy's pitching later today. Here's the likely lineup. And if there's any slight changes, who cares? It probably anything that we talk about probably still applies anyway. Unless there's some weird, like $2,400 guy. You never know when it's Josh Van Meter leadoff day, that type of when he's 2,200 for no reason. That may change things. from lineup construction perspective, but for the most part, like things remain fairly static. Going through the YouTube chat. They're saying Terrence Davis is out. Now, Terrence Davis is questionable. The way that we do our projections is that if there's a questionable tag or a probable tag, they get projected. If there's a doubtful or worse or out, then they're not in. So I know that as long as the guy is in the projections, that they have not been ruled out because we have the tags. See, Terrence Davis, Q. Right, it comes right in there. You can get this all with the RotoGrinders Premium. Right? You get the lineup HQ, you get all the projections, which get updated constantly. You get the situation room, you get means core plays, you get grind down, you get the consensus value rankings, you get the expert survey, you get the what if projections, you get you get so much stuff. I can't even name it all. You get crunch time, a half an hour before lock. That's a premium show before lock. Get it all. Hit the link in the description. Get $10 off your first month. And you can do a combo premium. So you could if you just want to play NBA, just pay the last 3 months and just there you're done. If you're going to play baseball also, you're going to play PGA, you're going to play any sport other than NASCAR, get the combo premium. You get everything. If you want to play soccer on Saturday mornings with me, I'll be playing soccer on Saturday mornings, EPL. We have projections. We have a Discord. We have a channel for that. It comes in the combo premium package. So go pick that up. And even click on the link in the YouTube chat. We got Eli today. Devin's dead. I don't know where he is. I don't know. Maybe he doesn't want to talk to me anymore. We got Eli. Do people not realize that Eli has a Guinness Book of World Record thing? He has a world record for clapping. Either that or getting the clap. It's one of the two. It's one of the two. I know it has to do with clapping. You should use the clap emoji. If Eli's here, everyone has to use the clap emoji. I don't know, for some reason, for something. I don't know. Or Eli has to do it. He has to clap because he's going to be the RotoGrinders Daily Fantasy Sports Advice. Like he's going to have the official tag in the YouTube chat. So in order to let people know that it's Eli and not Devin producing, he has to clap. Right. There you go. Now he's clapping. He has to clap after every time he talks. Right. Right. Hopefully you don't pick up the clap from it. And everyone claps back. See, we get something going. And while you're clapping, take your hand and clap that, clap the thummy thumb, the like button. What else are we talking about today? It's an 11-game slate. I kind of touched upon it. The show does not have to be an hour. It doesn't have to be. It's as long as you want it to go. So if you're not in the chat asking questions or making comments or anything, then it ends up being a shorter show. You could always listen to it later on the podcast feed. Go search in your podcast player of choice, iTunes, whatever. Yeah, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, what else? Overcast, any of those apps. Search for DFS pregame show, RotoGrinders, or search for RotoGrinders in there, and you'll find it. So you could listen to it later. You can obviously watch this later on YouTube. Edward Brown, what do you think about Twitter jumping on the NFT train? Well, don't get me started. I have zero NFTs. I have zero Top Shots. I have zero Bitcoin. I have zero Ethereum. I have zero any of it. I have absolutely no cryptocurrency, and I'm not interested in it whatsoever. So that's what I think. I am a no momenter, no coiner, no nothinger. I have none of that. None of it whatsoever. See you in 20 years. Let's see what happens. I have my money in the stock market. Feel free to find me in 20 years and let's see who has more money. I say most likely it's going to be me. Hey, but and hey, if I'm wrong and you make zillions of dollars, so be it. I'll still have plenty of money. So what do I care? Am I mad that I'm late on the move? No, I wasn't late on the move. I knew about this, but I beforehand. It's going to zero. So why would I if you got in and you got out with a profit, way to go. Hey. I give you applause. But you just have to know when to get out. It's a greater fool. They have no intrinsic value. So if you're able to get in low and sell high to some other schmuck, God bless you. That's the capitalism. There you go. Caveat emptor, whatever happens. But I'm just not going to rely on that. That's me. That's my personal opinion. Right. And you can make fun of me all you want now. Oh, Bitcoin's at 50 whatever thousand. I go, okay, in 20 years, let's see what it looks like. I think it's zero, or it's a collector. Right. It's like, it's whatever it is. And if I'm wrong, who cares? I still have plenty of investments and I'm fine as it is. So who cares? Whatever. Is this what we're going to turn? Is this the show? We're going to turn this into the investment hour with the old man yelling at cloud. People look at me. I'm 41 years old, and just an old man yelling at a cloud. Not realizing that I was on the internet before you guys were in diapers. I was on the forefront of technologies way before everyone else anyway. Okay. So is there anything else? Is there anything about DFS you want to talk about? Or whatever? Kai Roach says if we keep doing Bitcoin for 20 years, the whole world would just be one big graphics card. Well, I don't know. We'll suck out all the energy in order to keep the blockchain going. Okay, here's finally a DFS question. At least we can end on something DFS related. Johnny Ortiz, I'm aware correlation matters less in NBA from a play-by-play perspective, I'm assuming. However, there seems to be a correlation in targeting bad teams who give up a lot of fantasy points. Agree or disagree? Well, that's in the projections already. That's not a correlation. Obviously, if you're playing against a bad team that has poor defensive efficiency, the players on the opposing team are going to have higher projection because of that. That's not a correlation. Correlations are player to player. Correlation, but correlation between one stat but that's already in the projections. It's already being taken care of. So yeah, like when we say the Sacramento Kings have horrible defense, I'm going to target that like it's already in the projections. Like that already exists. We're looking for correlation between player to player when we're talking about the term correlation. So it doesn't matter what the team they're playing against. Chris Conley, regarding my tracker, have you noticed if the optimal does better on large versus small slates? You would not. Who knows? There'd be higher variance on smaller slates. So how many slates would you need in order to have any type of semblance of accuracy on that? I don't know. A couple of thousand? So when I'll get back to you in 10 years. I mean, like that's really what you're asking. It does over a 2.5 month sample size. Oh, well, some of these 2 and 4 game slates and how dude, the variance of those slates are so high as it is. You'd need like 1,000 of them in order to even have a semblance of an answer. Theoretically, if your projections are the best, they would do the best on larger slates because there's more options. There's more options for your opponents to make mistakes. On a 2-game slate, how big of a mistake can you make? It's only so many options. You could just luck into having the best lineup. You could bang your head against the keyboard to get because there's only so many options. 10 games, 11 game slate tonight. There's a lot of ways to go wrong. So think of it that way. The variance in a small slate on a 2-game slate, it's just most lineups look the same. They look similar. It's more likely in a 2-game slate that no matter what lineup you play against, is going to, in a cash game, is going to be like a 2v2. And at the 11-game slate, you'll play some opponents that have 6 different players than you. They have more opportunity to make mistakes. It's kind of hard to have 6 different players than you on a 2-game slate because how many different players are there? So that's the reason. That's from a theoretical standpoint. Conceptually, that makes sense. But to prove that in an actual sample size, you're going to need a lot more slates than the past 2.5 months. I don't know what this question means. Do you still use DVP on FanDuel? I don't know what that means. For example, like small forward yesterday. I have no idea. Why would you use that on FanDuel versus DraftKings? I don't get it. I don't use DVP at all. So like that, to me, the answer is no, regardless. But anything like that is going to be in the projection. So who cares? So if you got anything else, be a short show today. For an 11-game slate, it's going to be a short show. But I mean, well, how much review could I do from yesterday? So like that, I think that's really where it all came out. All the time came out of. Tomorrow, at least there's 11 games. Now we could go through and see where did people get leverage, where did people did this, and people did that, and someone did this. Everyone got that right, and everyone got that wrong, and who knows? Who knows what happens, right? Hopefully everything stays the way it is, right? We don't have who's sitting. It's after the All-Star break. There should be no load management, right? If someone's sitting due to rest, like someone get him something. Get dehydrated. Get him some type of medication. They've been off for days. How much rest do these guys need after the All-Star break? It's ridiculous. Okay, so hit the like button. Hit that thumbs up button. On your way out the door, keep that apple juice cold. Keep Eli from clapping. I don't know. There has to be some type of thing that we have to do with his clapping. There has to be something. I'll try to come up with it. Or you come up with it. Join me in the chat. Come up with some type of clapping meme. C. Brisk asks, do you think your approach of switching from NBA GPPs to MLB GPPs is common amongst better players? No, most better players play everything all the time, no matter what. But yeah, typically the beginnings of seasons have the weakest fields. Because, casual people, oh, baseball, I'm going to get into this. And a month later, they're broke, right? They may have built garbage lineups. So towards the end of the season, typically that's when most of the casual bad players have been weeded out, or at least a lot of them have been. But to me, it's more of a time thing. I'm not against playing NBA. I'm not against playing NBA GPPs in April and May. But we all know with NBA, there's late swaps, there's news hits, there's so much stuff, moving parts. How do I do that and do baseball and do something else? Now you can. Some people can. I'd rather not. So if I'm going to focus on something, I'll focus on baseball. So if I don't play NBA GPPs, then so what? I don't. I still play NBA Cash, and that's fine. I could do that. But to handle swapping a bunch of lineups and then paying attention to baseball and then also doing the cash lineups, it's just I can't personally do all of that at once as well as I would want to. I could do it. But I'd rather be really good at something and be all in on something than be half-assed and have to rush and try to, oh, well, I got the turbo slate here, and how about the night slate lineups? I don't want to be put in that situation. That's the reason that's personal to me. But if you could play 5 sports at once in one day and multiple slates and 3 different sites, God bless you. I can't do that well. If you can, if I could do that well, I would be doing it. But I've tried doing that type of stuff, and I end up forgetting lineups. Oh, yeah. Oh, 8 o'clock. I forgot that I had to switch that guy out at 8 o'clock in the lock pit, right? Oh, I forgot about Yahoo. And you have 20 dummy lineups there. And You just have to be able to balance all of that. And I just can't do it. So I'd rather focus on a smaller amount of things and do them well than try to do 18 things at once. That's me. So, but it's not a strategical thing. It's not, oh, you're stopping. Should I stop playing NBA GPPs because Jordan's stopping? I'm only stopping playing because I'm focusing on my MLB volume for GPPs to make lineups and build those the best. So I don't have to now think about NBA also. And the considerations for late swap and who Paul George sits out of the blue. If you want to just say, screw it, I'm not going to play baseball for a month while NBA is on because you'd rather focus on NBA, do that then. It's not a sport thing. It's more of a me thing. It's more of a I can only do so much at once thing. I'm choosing MLB. Apocalypse says, if you're new here, you should go back and watch previous episodes. It will help you understand why he answers your questions the way he does. You can watch I think you could watch the show from the beginning. You could go back to January, and you could still learn everything you want to learn from it. Even though we're talking about slates that happened 2 months ago. I think that's the beauty of this show. It's more evergreen. We talk more about concepts and not about plays. What plays are there? Who knows? Who knows? Especially in NBA. It's 11 o'clock in the morning. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? You know how many times we've talked about, oh, these two guys are going to be chalk. And then by 5:30, they're not even, they're 6% owned because value opened up and 17 other players are going to be owned. That happens all the time. That's why we talk about strategy. And if you understand the strategy, you understand the game theory of DFS, you could apply it to any sport, any slate. You don't need me anymore. You don't need someone to tell you the plays. You're just going to build good lineups. If you want to learn more about that, go to theoryofdfs.com. Pick up my 15-hour audio masterclass. So if you don't want to go through, yeah, you could. I think you could go through all the past pregame shows and get much of what's in this course. Bits and pieces along the way. If you don't want to do that, go to theoryofdfs.com. 15 hours, pick this up, and you got it. It's structured. It's done concept by concept, structured education. And you get everything that you need to know. These 15 hours, this is the game theory of DFS. Once you know this, then you'll understand what play wherever you want means. Then you'll understand lineups, not players. You'll understand who do I play, who's going to do well, who cares. You'll get all of that. You'll understand why I have no answers like that, because there aren't any. There's just probabilities. There's just numbers and probabilities. So they could be in a lineup. They could not be in a lineup. It depends on the lineup. It depends on the contest. It depends on all these other variables. It's not about predicting outcomes of a basketball game. It's about beating opponents in a DFS game. And the athletes are just like the pieces on the chessboard. So go to theoryofdfs.com, pick that up, hit the thumbs up button on your way out the door, keeping the apple juice cold, keeping Eli from clapping. Do we hit the like button to keep Eli from clapping? We got to do something with the clapping. There has to be some type of meme thing, some type of joke, some type of something with Eli's clapping. We got to do something. Come up with something. Come back tomorrow and come up with the best clapping idea. The clap emoji or something. We got to do it. We got 11 game slate tonight. Hopefully all the games play. Hopefully, who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? But whatever happens, we'll be reviewing it tomorrow. Tomorrow on another edition of the DFS pregame show here on RotoGrinders.com.